Getting toddlers to listen is hard. They have short attention spans and are so easily distracted. Something as simple as asking them to go get a cup can turn into a whole ordeal. I worked with a kiddo this past week who wanted water, asked his mom for it, and she was like, it's right there on the dining room table, go grab it. And he's like, okay. Well, he goes to get up, but then his puppy jumps on him. So he starts playing with him, forgets about it. 10 minutes later, oh, Mom, I need water. She's like, it's on the table. So he goes to go get it. But then the TV gets really loud because some kind of fight breaks out between superheroes. So he's got to stop for that. Forgets about the water. Then he goes back to his mom. Mom, I need water. And she's like, it's on the table. And I think he got it on the third try finally. But they're just so easily distracted, aren't they? I promise that there are some things that you can do to help them listen better. And I want to talk about 4 of those simple steps today. Super easy, you can do them anywhere, and it will dramatically improve their listening skills. So stay tuned. As I mentioned a minute ago, I work with kids every day. My job as a behavior analyst is 1, to provide behavioral therapy for kids with autism, and 2, to work with parents to help teach them evidence-based techniques based on behavioral science to help them deal with the behaviors that their kiddos have, whether they're typically developing, which is neurotypical, or neurodiverse, which may be a child that has some type of a disability. And I would say that the 4 things I'm about to talk about are things that I use every day. I found them to be very effective. All the research shows that they're effective across all types of children, all types of ages, but they can be so helpful for toddlers in particular because they get so easily distracted. And I promise that if you do this consistently every day, you will see a big change. But before we get started, it's important to point out that you should keep in mind that toddlers' frontal lobes are not fully developed. That's a part of their brain that has to do with reasoning and impulse control and the ability to plan ahead and the ability to really fully understand a situation and its consequences when they engage in certain behaviors. So it's very important that you remember that because obviously, biologically, that is a deficit that you're dealing with, whether you like it or not. That's just what it is. And it's going to make it harder for them to listen, follow directions, and understand what's going to happen if they don't follow directions, if they act out. They're kind of a mess. But that's okay. They're kids. And you know that. I don't need to tell you that. But sometimes you need a friendly reminder because at the end of a long day, you just need them to listen or get out of your hair or just do what you asked. I should mention that you should probably watch my previous video on 3 things to do if your child isn't listening to you before you watch this one because it has things that you should do in the environment to help you succeed in getting your child to listen before you even ask them to do something. They go hand in hand, so I would suggest that you go check it out. I'll link it above and then come right back here. Easy peasy. All right, so step number 1, easy one, get down to their eye level. I see a lot of parents giving kids directions from across the room, shouting it upstairs, shouting it across the playground. Whatever it is, you need to make sure that you are right in front of your toddler and you should be down at their eye level because then you can make sure that they're paying attention. You know as well as I do that if you're in front of them but they're busy looking off to see what the other kid's doing on the swings, they're not really listening to you. Or maybe they are in the living room and you're in front of them, but they're watching TV. You know, they're not listening. And even if they say they are, it's really best if they're looking at you, you make sure that they understand what you're saying. Step number 2 is to present your request as a statement, not a question. It's very important because if you ask it as a question and then your child tells you no, it's technically appropriate for them to tell you no. If you said, hey, can you go over there and give that to me? They're going to be like, no, I'm busy. I'm watching this, or I'll do it right after I do this. It gives room for them to argue. And it's technically appropriate because you've asked them. So they've now given you a reason why they can't, and it's more appropriate that way. So any request that you have, at least most of the time, should be phrased as a statement. That doesn't mean it has to be mean. You're not going, hey, give me that over there. You might say, give me the toothbrush, please. As long as you add that please in and you have a pleasant tone of voice, there's no reason for that to be a bad or mean way to present a request from your child. The third step is to use simple language. Make sure that you're using words that they understand, and depending on their age, if they're only 2 or 3, try to use as few words as possible. Be very direct and straightforward about what you need. Don't add in a lot of extra words that you don't need. What I mean is, if you just got home and you turn to your toddler and you say, we're gonna go watch cartoons now, but first I need you to take off your shoes, stick them in the closet, and then make sure to take off your hat, and you know where the hat goes. That's not words that they don't understand. I'm sure they do, but it is too many words. There's too much going on in there. So it's best if you turn to your toddler and say, put your things in the closet, I'll meet you in the living room. Something like that. Very, very simple. And the last step is simply to give one step at a time. As I just mentioned with the closet, for example, you might say, put your shoes in the basket, please. Wait for that to be done. And then say, put your hat in the closet, please. Maybe he knows where it goes. Whatever it is, the direction should be short, but it should be one at a time. It just makes it more likely for them to listen. If your child is one that's a little bit older, maybe 4 at that point, or 5, and they can follow 2 to 3 step directions, go for it. But in my experience, when they're around 2 or 3, it's best if you just stick to 1 step directions. A little bit more work on your side, but it's gonna help you follow through and it's gonna help them listen. Other examples might include, let's go brush your teeth. Give me the cup, please. It's bedtime. Let's go get your pajamas. All of those things on their own are 1-step instructions that you would give that have simple language, few words, directly to the point, and will help them comply easier. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're interested in more videos like this. Next week, I'll be talking about what to do when you've done everything in this video and you've done everything in the previous video that I talked about, and they're still not listening, because it's gonna happen. Again, their frontal lobe isn't fully formed, very important to keep in mind, and there are gonna be times that they don't listen. But there are certain things that you can do when you've put a demand in place and they haven't listened to help make sure that you increase their compliance in the future. So I'll see you then. Bye.